Do you think the United States is a better country than Mexico?
No,
Should there be limits for how many people come in the country? Yes or no, in your opinion?
those are already in place. No, and I don't. I think that free flow borders are better
Okay, so
as a policy.
so your answer is no. There should be no limits to how many people can come into the country. Is that your answer?
Possibly, yeah.
Possibly, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So now imagine you're a smart guy. You can use your imagination. Imagine 100 million people want to come into the United States. Question: do you think this is a good thing, bad thing, or neutral? Over let's say
Neutral.
over let's say a period of I don't know, 2 to 3 years.
Neutral.
Neutral. Question.
Yeah.
Question. Do you think that would put a strain on our infrastructure like hospitals and schools? Yes or no? Lean yes, lean no.
Yeah. Yes, it could.
It could. So why do you say neutral when you admit that it can cause stress on things like schools and hospitals?
Just because it causes stress doesn't necessarily mean it's bad.
Okay. Do you think it's bad if there's not enough schools for kids and not enough hospitals for sick people? Do you think that's bad?
What?
Do you think it's bad if there's not enough schools to educate children and not enough hospitals to take care of the sick?
Yes, that could be bad, but we already have that in late stage capitals, right?
So, okay, you just admitted, yes, that's bad. Or you said could be bad. Now,
It could be bad.
if having an unlimited number of immigrants come in and it causes a strain on hospitals and schools, which you admitted that could be bad, then you would have to admit that having unlimited number of immigrants could be bad, correct?
Could be.
There you go. Progress.
Is it? Is it bad?
It-
You were voting for a guy that says that it definitely is bad. Not could be.
what's definitely bad?
Those. So it's definitely bad in your view.
Well, I think, yes. Wouldn't it be better to have an orderly way to have immigrants come in and have a cap?
If you're trying to stress test it based on logistics in the country, yeah, it could be.
Yes, that's. I'm a practical guy, so I'm talking about logistics here. If we were looking at what is best for a country, is it better to have someone who is financially independent come into our country or someone who's financially dependent to come into our country? If you had to choose one or the other, we've got two people at the border. One is financially independent, one is financially dependent, meaning they need food stamps, they need welfare for maybe even over a year. Which is better for our country?
People, they can't get those benefits here.
Which
It doesn't make any sense.
which is better for our country? Someone who's financially
It's,
independent.
it's a false. The people that are coming in that you claim that have the need for this, they can't come in. Well, they can come in, but they can't get those benefits. They're not citizens.
Oh,
right?
so they
can't-
just die of hunger.
No, they end up relying on their own hard work and maybe charities, private charities.
Oh, so the government doesn't provide any assistance.
Some governments might, like local states or maybe city charities or
Okay.
something like
So
that.
when a
The federal government doesn't provide. If somebody crosses over, the federal government doesn't automatically provide
Okay.
somebody who just passed into the United States with Social
so
Security.
someone who's financially dependent comes across, they are dependent on help from local charities and local governments, correct?
Well, so you have a problem with somebody coming over who wants to earn a wage?
Lean yes, lean no.
Would you class it?
When someone comes over who has no money and has
I don't think that that's a particularly good reason to determine whether or not they're going to be a citizen.
Okay, so here's my question for you, Jefferson, and these are very uncomfortable questions for, I think, people from your side of the aisle to answer, because
They're not. They're superficial.
because it's a moral dilemma type question. So the question is this:
It's a moral dilemma. If you own, so you're saying that the only people that you want to allow in easily are people who are already wealthy.
This is my question to you.
If they're okay, let me ask you something. If they're already wealthy, what do they want to do here?
Maybe they love Disneyland and they want to move close to Disneyland. I don't know. But here's my question
You
to
just want to
you,
be close to Disney World.
Jefferson.
Okay.
Here's my question to you. We got two people at the border, and you are in charge, okay, of who gets in, and only one person can come in. Now, one person has, let's say, $5 million in their bank account. The other person has 0 in their bank account. And you don't know anything else at this point. We're going to do baby steps, one at a time. That's all you know at this point. And I ask you, where are you leaning? Who are you going to let in? The person with 5 million or the person with 0?
Person with 0. I don't know where that 5 million came from. And you're going to need a forensic accountant
Okay.
to figure out how that person is so wealthy and what are they doing trying to
Okay,
cross the border?
Jefferson, why would you let in the person with 0?
What difference does it make?
Why would you let in the person with 0 versus 5 million? What's your reasoning?
They're showing up here to what? Try to get a job?
You don't know. You don't know yet. All we know at this point is we got 2 immigrants.
One has $5 million and one has 0.
Right. That's all.
Which one can do the most damage to the economy? The one with $0. I would let in the one with $0 because I can't vet where the $5 million on the other person came from.
Okay. Okay. So I want to make sure I'm understanding you correctly. You're suspicious of where that $5 million came from. So therefore you would let in the person who
You're
has
not.
0?
In your thought experiment, you're not suspicious as to why somebody with $5 million is trying to cross the border in the same way that somebody
Okay.
with $0
Okay.
is.
So you answered my question. You said you're suspicious of where that money came from. So you would take the person with 0 money. Okay.
Okay.
So now I'm going to give you more information. The person with the $5 million earned it legally through, I don't know, starting a business. Now, who are you going to let in?
And I can determine this when they're crossing the border.
This is a thought experiment, Jefferson. You're a smart guy. You can entertain thought experiments.
Your thought experiment is starting to break down in terms of like allowing people to cross, right? If I'm trying to determine whether or not somebody's a security risk or not, the amount of money that they have on their bank account is not necessarily an indication of whether or not they're a threat to the country, one way or the other. So it's already a bad thought experiment.
Okay. You know that the 5 million, Jefferson, you know the 5 million was earned legally. Now, who would you let in?
How do I know that?
In this thought experiment,
Okay,
you know
so
this. In this thought experiment,
I would still
you know this. It's a fact.
the person with no money easily. The person with 5 million, maybe I'd let them in too.
Okay,
I can only pick one.
you can only pick one, Jefferson. Who are you going to let in? The person with $0 or the person with 5 million?
The person with $0.
Why?
Because
What's
the
your
person with
reasoning?
5 million the person with $5 million has a lot more options than the person with none.
Ah, okay. But you missed. Very good. I really, really appreciate your answer because I think it's an honest answer. You're looking at it from the perspective of the person with $0. But this thought experiment is what is best for our country, not what is best for them. This is why I said this is a moral dilemma. So let me.
Why would it be? Hang on. Why would it be better for us to? You've got somebody that's coming from another country that earned $5 million, and another person that's showing up from the same country with no dollars. Why is it better for our country if that person, like, let's to keep this in like Trump terms? Where did that person get those $5 million from in their weird economy?
I already told you they started their own business legally.
And you can just determine that right there at the border.
Yes, in this thought experiment, we know this. So let me ask you again.
Okay.
What is best?
So you want to bring that?
Jefferson, what is best for?
Let
Why are you resisting so much?
No, I just want to ask you this: Are you the kind of guy that's in favor of like, say, like, you know, I think you can buy your citizenship in St. Kitts for $250,000. I think you can buy citizenship in New Zealand for $5 million. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so money makes rights happen. You're
Sometimes, yeah, yeah. You can. To me, it's not a constitutional right you're buying, but it's the right to live in this country. Yeah. There used to even be
like in New Zealand, you are actually buying citizenship, so you are then protected by their constitution legally. You are buying constitutional protections for $5 million.
Yeah, if you're buying citizenship, yeah, then fine. But So I answered.
So you're okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. So now Jefferson, you see how quickly and easily I answered your question. Can you do the same for me? What is best for the country of the United States to let the person in with who has $5 million, who's financially independent, and they got their $5 million legally by starting their own business, or the person with $0? And you can only let in one. Who are you going to let in? What is best for our country?
I'm still going to let in the one that's coming in with $0 is a driver, right?
Is a driver?
Striver. Right, they're going to be striving to make something of themselves. They're going to put themselves to work.
So you're assuming that people with $0 will strive and work harder than someone with $5 million who got their $5 million from starting their own business.
Yes, I would. I mean, if you're putting me in a snap decision kind of thing, yeah, I'm going to let the person in with $0 in their bank account rather than the person.
Okay, what if I told you?
Also, because it's going to take longer to figure out where that $5 million came from.
What if I told you that that they have equal gumption, striving? Who are you going to let in?
What's the point of this thought experiment if I know that?
The point of this thought experiment is to see why exactly you view.
There's no way that I could know that, right? Like,
you sound like a Christian who fights back so hard on thought experiments.
This thought experiment has completely broken down. No, it's completely broken down. There's no reason to determine either entry or citizenship based on either of these.
Let's do something simpler.
Any of these qualities, right?
Let's do something that might be easier for you. We got two people at the border. One has a contagious disease and one doesn't. Who are you going to let in?
The person without the disease.
I agree. So that was very easy for you to answer.
If you have a pandemic going, you wouldn't even allow that person in either.
Okay, let's see. Let's get a little bit tougher. We got two people at the border. One is highly, highly skilled in a job that's very, very needed in the United States. The other one has no skills or very low skills. Who are you going to let in?
The high school one.
Excellent. We're agreed there. We got two people at the border. One who has a history of committing crimes. The other person has a clear record, and we know both histories. Who are you going to let in?
One with a clear record.
Very good. So I agree on that one. Now let me ask you this. Is it better to know all these criteria before someone crosses the U.S.-Mexico border? Before they cross? Is it better to know these things than not?
Probably, yeah.
Excellent. I agree. So,
but do they not?
So, if it is better to know these criteria before they even cross that line in the sand, wouldn't it be best to have some type of system, as no system is perfect, where we do not let anyone cross that line in the sand until we know the answers to those questions?
No.
Okay, that's where we have a disagreement. That's where we have a disagreement.
That doesn't follow because they're not here permanently. There's a difference between somebody coming in and staying permanently. The criteria that you mentioned before, those count. They're skilled, they don't have a criminal record, they're not contagious, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Those things count in terms of determining whether they can stay here permanently. The idea of them crossing over the border doesn't matter, right? Because you're obviously going to have tourist flows and things like that, or you have people in refugee crises that are coming over and claiming asylum. So those people aren't necessarily going to stay here. So those optics are different.
This is another example of you talking so much. Given the thought experiment, is it better to know who's coming in?
How did I talk too much?
Given this thought experiment, is it better to know who's coming into the country for residency or not? Is it better to know these things or not?
It's better, and that's the ideal. Yeah.
Okay. I agree.
Coming in for what? Coming in to stay?
Yes, I said that
coming
twice.
In to visit? Okay. That's the problem. The fact that people are crossing the border and like right-wing news shows that, and it's a scary thing. People just like run across the border. Most of those people are caught and tracked. they end up getting deported later on. So that's not a big deal.
Later on?
Yeah, they end up getting caught, detained, and then sent back to their home country.
Okay, let me ask you this. What is better, to let someone go across our border, get caught, and then deported later, or not let them cross to begin with? Which is better? For that individual.
Don't
Huh?
I'm going to be honest about this. I don't think that it makes a difference at all.
You don't think it makes a difference?
Do you think that it makes a difference if that person they come across, they get tagged, law enforcement knows who they are, they get picked up, they get deported, as opposed to they just. So do you want a wall from San Diego to Texas that's just sky high?
It doesn't necessarily.
They can never physically get through.
Okay, Jefferson. Let's say I was God. Okay, with let's pretend I'm an omnipotent God, that I could put up a wall that was 100% effective. Would you admit that that would be better in preventing someone from coming in, rather than coming in, having to catch them and then deport them and then feeding them while they're here during that whole time? Do you agree that that would be better?
Who's feeding, Doug? Who's feeding them?
The country.
Who?
The country, the people in the country, either private charities or local governments.
So the fact that these people get the fact that they get
Can you answer my question?
No, I would. That doesn't make any sense. If you're an omniscient,
you can't
God,
even admit that it is better to not have them come in the first place than catch them and then deport them. You can't even admit that.
If you're an omniscient God, you already know who they are. So you can grab them and send them. Why would you need a wall?
Okay, thanks for coming on, Jefferson.
You know who's here legally or illegally.
This is why people are voting right, because they listen to guys like you and they just go, "What is wrong with this guy?"
What are you? Do you think that the immigration issue that's currently happening,
like the resistance to these thought experiments, you can just see it. Where I give him everything he wants. I am God. I got a seal-proof wall. What is better, to prevent this guy that you're going to deport later anyhow from even crossing in the first place, or letting him cross and going through the effort of finding and then catching and then deporting? Which is better, to prevent that from happening or to let it happen then do it? He can't even say that. I got to be honest, this is like the brain rot of some people on the left.